Yes, now Famalamo, welcome back to another video on Jazza TV. Today we're going to talk about losing and how essential it is to lose in boxing. This is always just my beliefs and it's not true. It's true for me. Well, it might be true for me. I think it's true for me, but I do believe that, in my opinion, it's so important to lose, and not everyone in boxing wants to lose. I get it, but it was always something I never had no problem with losing, because I knew it was part of a process, and for that process to play out for somebody like me, losing was essential. Not that I tried to lose, because I tried my best not to lose, but I knew if it happened, I win or I learn, and that's the old saying, isn't it? That you win or you learn. It could be quite cliche and not everyone gets it, understands it, but for me it was always true. You win or you learn. And when you do lose, maybe it's there's so much goodness in there, because there's many fights that I have won and you skim over the cracks, you know. You don't really put your finger on what went wrong. I always try my best to, but you're so happy with your win, you're so relieved that you have won, so to speak. You neglect the little bits of mistakes and stuff like that. We all make them, but you neglect them even more when you win. So for me, first of all, you hear the saying in boxing, which it's also very true in the terms of a business sense, and it's sort of a game that you play, isn't it? The Mayweather effect, I call it. No one wants to lose their all, but they say it's not about who you fight, it's about who you don't fight in boxing, and it is true to an extent. I don't like that saying, because there's so much wrong with that saying. There's so much that works with it, but there's so much that goes wrong with it, because you can bring fighters to a certain level, and you see it with a lot of the ticket sellers who sell a lot of tickets. They get to a certain level, but once you get them to that level where they've reached their level, they fall at that level. And if you didn't just match them to win, not to learn, if you didn't just match them to win, these have gone further. When they got to that point where they lost, they found the level a bit too soon, when you could have learned them a little bit more, and you maybe made 60-40 fights, 70-30 fights, not 80-20 fights. So that's something that we see a lot in professional boxing anyway. We don't see it as much in the amateur boxing. To see that a lot of fighters' growth is done in amateur boxing, and it's a shame, really. I think it'd be better in this day and age where you don't wear a head guard and you're doing 3-minute rounds. But when I was an amateur boxer, it was 4 2-minute rounds, and you wore a guard, so it was not like the professional boxing. It was just totally different. So I would say a lot of fighters after that turned professional, they didn't get learning no more because they got protected. But nowadays you can get a better lane. You have the WSB tournaments now. What was it, 5 3-minute rounds? Basically professional boxing with a little bit bigger gloves. So you can do it a bit more now. But back in the day, when I turned professional, maybe 2012 and later, a lot of fighters didn't really learn once they turned professional. You see a lot of these top Olympians who did turn professional. I'm not going to name no names because I wouldn't want to disrespect anyone, but a lot of them, they was expected to become world champions, but they weren't like the generations before them who was Olympians, because they didn't get no more learning. They got protected, and I think that's one of the good things about, we have something here in Britain called journeymen, and the journeymen in Britain, I would say that they're the best in the world. Because not only are they're tough men, let's first and foremost, let's address how tough they are and how good they are at what they do, because I couldn't be a journeyman, not everyone can do it. You have to be really tough, you have to be durable, and you have to be ready week in, week out, and just like the jockeys, they probably have to stay around the weight and stuff like that. So yeah, journeymen, well respected here in Britain, and for a good reason. But if you go outside of Britain and you get journeymen, they're not always like the journeymen that we have. You wouldn't class them as journeymen. Journeymen's it's a tough title to gain, because they just call losing fighters, on the road fighters, you know, who lose and they get knocked out, and they're not good enough to be journeyman, to care for themselves and look after themselves. But what journeymen also do, they bring fighters through, and that's, I got good learning off journeyman. Journeyman brought me on a lot. So I'm saying very happy and pleased that I got to learn from the British journeymen, because without them I wouldn't have got me learning, and I've been in these tougher fights a lot sooner, since that I was only 19, fighting these grown men. I needed these people to bring me through. So big thank you to all the journeymen who actually did bring me through, because without them I couldn't be prepared for real fights with real tough men as professionals. So take a lesson once again. So where we're going now with this is losing, and how important it is for a fighter to lose and to feel that feeling of losing. You can get in the gym, you can get your ass whooped in the gym, you go home, you say, you bastard, I'm gonna put that right next week. That's also a part of it, and we do that in the gym. And if you go and spar with someone, you spar with them next week, and you get another chance to go again, but you only get one shot in on the night. And it's important sometimes. I'm not telling fighters to lose here, by the way, and also like the promoters be watching this going, what are you on about? Because it's not in the promoters' best interest or any interest for the fighters to lose, you know, because everything comes crashing down, and then there's a rebuilding phase, and he's the one who has to pay for it. But as a fighter and a coach with your fighter, it's important, because I never forget the feeling of losing. That feeling when you lose, you go home with this feeling. It's like, I like the feeling, I'll be honest. I like the feeling. The feeling behind it is, I've never had a loss where I say, that's it. Well, what do we do now? What am I going to do now? I'm not gonna get better now. But I've always lost, and I thought, you wait and see what happens next. And that's what you're after as a fighter. I would say, I would advise any fighter and myself, this is a pact that I've made myself. If I lose and I go home and I think to myself, fucking hell, that's one of them. Just one of them. You win some, you lose some. Fuck that. That's not the right attitude to have. If I ever have that attitude, I know it's time to get out of the game. But losing, you go home with this feeling inside you, this hunger, this pain, real bad pain it is. There's no pain like it. It's rough. It's really rough. It's everything comes crashing down. You're not who you thought you was. You're not supposed to be on the end of a loss. You thought you were there to win, and it's hard. You go into fights thinking, I could like come close to losing here. It could be a tough fight, but you never actually think you're going to be the one that's want to lose. And when you do, it's very humbling. And not only is it humbling, you're exposed. And in my case, I've been exposed publicly. Public exposure, it's so humiliating, and it happens, in my case, millions of people get to see it, and it's tough. It's hard. First time it happened to me, it was heavy on the ego as well, especially. Everything crumbling down, because what a promoter's job to do is, and if he does it correctly, is to build your confidence, and your confidence, it's through the roof. So it's like the higher you are, the higher the fall, sort of thing. So that's my experience. It's not everyone's experience, and I'm not expecting people to go out to lose here to feel this feeling. You know what I mean? You go as far as you can, and leading to the next point here is pushing the boundaries. And I think fighters should not be afraid to push the boundaries, because if you can't push the boundaries, you're not moving forward. You have to move into them boundaries, into that space that hasn't been ventured into before. It's so important to go where you don't know, where you haven't been there before. You have to find out what it's about. You can get other people's experiences in the gym, people around you, champions, world champions. You mix it with these people in the gym, but going there yourself with no one to hold your hand is important. And when you get there and you see what it's about and you come through it, that's where confidence comes from, isn't it? So confidence for me is something that comes from survival. You go in the gym as a little kid and you're a bit scared, maybe you're worried, you don't want to spar. What happens? What'll happen? Will my head come off? If someone punches me, is my head going to fly off my neck? No, it doesn't. You get through the spar, you didn't get knocked out, you didn't get put over. You were alright in there. Give you a little bit of confidence. Next time you go with the gym, you get a little bit more, you spar the better kids, you get through it, you survive, you get a bit more confidence. That's what confidence is to me. Survival, coming out on the other side and saying, actually I was alright there. And that's where confidence comes from. So it's important to put yourself into them high pressure situations and push the boundaries, whether it's in the gym, most importantly on the night, and get that little bit more confidence by surviving in them situations. And I think you go further, and you should go further and say, not surviving, fuck surviving, thriving's where it's at. But I'm just saying, confidence is built by coming through situations that you never thought that you could get through. So yeah, so push the boundaries, and you'll find yourself somewhere else when you come out of it, and you'll find a newfound confidence on what you can do. The first time I went 12 rounds, you go home that night with your title, and you think, you know what, I'm a 12 round fighter now. That I am a 12 round fighter. What was all the fear about? What was the anxiety? What was the unknown about it? It was just 12 rounds, that's all it is. But when you haven't done 12 rounds before, you haven't done 8 rounds, 10 rounds, 6 rounds, whatever, 4 rounds as a pro, you think, will I be able to do the distance? You know somewhere deep down that you can, but the question is always there, can I do it? You do it, and then the confidence comes because you did do it, and then you realise, what was that all about? I survived. The next one is protecting records. Now, it's important, it's very important as a professional fighter and a promoter's job first and foremost, and a manager. Protect this fighter at all costs, because we don't want to get him beat. We want to build his confidence. We want him to win a world title. We want him to get to the top, and we want to match him correctly. We don't want to ruin his confidence. We want him to make a lot of money. We want him to win titles, and we want him to secure his future. That's the plan, always. But I call it the Mayweather effect. Like I said, is the Mayweather effect for me would be like I said, their survival can be a good thing and it can build confidence, but I also think survival is a dangerous thing as well, because you see early on in Floyd Mayweather's career, I'm only using him as the example because I can really, and because you're never going to hurt someone's confidence. He's not fucking going to watch it anyway, is he? But you're never going to hurt the confidence of a fighter who's been there and done it, and has a claim to be the best in the world. He's the man. He's it's undeniable how good he is. So I can use him as the example because not many people are ever going to fill his boots. So I haven't filled his boots. Fuck me. I've got nothing bad to say about him. I can't, even if I wanted to. But what I'm saying is, about protecting records, I do believe if you do try and protect that all, and the fear of losing and the growth in losing isn't there, I do believe you come a little bit, how can I say, safety first and survival. I do believe that the mindset, whether you know it or not, subconsciously becomes about survival. And is that a good thing? I don't know. We've seen with Floyd Mayweather later on in his career, he was a different fighter than what he was in his early career. I don't know if that's because injuries or age, or just found a better style. Just did not get it because he was so good, weren't he? And maybe it's just, why do I need to get into fights with these people? Do I need to go forward? You need to come to me because I'm the man, you know what I mean? That was sort of his attitude, weren't it? But also, when you're the man everyone has to beat, and you're also the man who has to protect his own record and protect his own all, it can become a little bit cautious, and I think that's dangerous for a fighter when it comes to growth. Now, growth, losing your all, I think it's scary, you know. So for me, I have lost 5 times, but I always went into it with the mindset of, it doesn't matter if I lose. Well, it does matter, obviously you don't want to lose, but it doesn't matter. It'll never hold me back. A loss will never hold me back. It'll only bring me forward. So that was my mentality. A side note for me, like I say, not everyone's the same, and you know, don't even have the right to speak on Floyd Mayweather badly or any other fighter, to be honest, because all individuals. I'm not speaking badly, I'm just trying to see how boxing has changed so much because of protecting records and how important it is to lose sometimes in the right circumstances with the right mentality. And for me, winning a rematch has always been better than winning the fight. I don't know why that is. Just win the rematch. I think it gives you a little bit of like all right, we're going into this fight, let's see where we both are now. And that's maybe my mindset, but I don't know if it is for everyone else. But winning a rematch is I've lost a rematch. I lost the first fight and lost the second fight against Kid Galahad. In the second fight, it was hard because you believe, look, you see where I am now, watch this now, you know what I mean, revenge sort of thing. And then with this rematch with the Lee Wood, it was like, well, we'll see where we are now, you know what I mean. You're defending your first win over him, and it's like, we'll see how far we've both grown and who's been working the hardest and who's been listening the most. And that's an important thing for a fighter, you know, to someone to gauge against. So for me, a rematch has always been a better win than just the first time win, you know. So I think for promoters, I think a promoter's job is to do the job and to keep this fighter unbeaten. But I also believe that a promoter, they won't like to hear this, but a promoter always does hold the sport back. Now, promoters build the sport because they're so good at it and that's their job. Without promoters, boxers are fucked, to be honest. We're just meatheads, most of us, aren't we? Well, most of yous, I'm not. I am, aren't I? But a promoter's job is to also, as a byproduct, to hold the sport back, you know. And it does happen, and you see, like, why can't the best fight the best? It's because the promoter's trying to protect the records and not get the fighter beat. Because one of them has to go, and he's got two fighters who are there, world champions against each other. He's not going to match them up against each other. He's not going to test them to see who's at the best right now and who's going to go the furthest and who's going to come back and grow from the loss, because then he loses one of the fighters. So that's just the way it is. Understandable, isn't it? If you were the promoter, you know, they're not stupid. These people are very smart, but it hinders the sport. You know, we see it in football, don't we? Players grow and grow and grow because they have no choice. You've got to face each other every week, week in, week out, and you get 2 shots against each other each year, so minimum, and that's just the way it is. So yeah, that's my view on losing. It's my view. I don't know if it's anyone else's. I'm not asking it to be anyone else's. I'm no expert on boxing. I've just been around for a very long time, and that's just how I feel about it. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. Please like, subscribe and leave a comment, and you have a lovely day, family.